morning.
Morning.
Well, it's good to see so many people here on a holiday weekend, and I've just been informed that there are many donuts up there. So if you would care for a second donut, go for it. I do have one announcement before we start. I've been asked, I don't know if you realize, but the workshop in the lab essentially is very much similar to a Pullman kitchen. You know, I mean, it's not real large, okay? And getting around it is a little bit difficult at times. And someone, we don't know who, put 2 large leather chairs in there for storage. If that person is in the room, please reclaim your chairs, because they're going to go out in the hall come Monday morning when we have to do some work in that lab. So just forewarning everybody, whoever, if those chairs belong to you, if you bought them from Cam or whatever the deal is, and we'll also inform Cam that we're going to move them out in the hall as well. So anyway, just wanted to pass that on. This is the 4th of July weekend. It's also the 200th anniversary of the Star Spangled Banner. And we thought it would be appropriate to run a tape talking about the Star Spangled Banner and the history behind it.
There was a lawyer once. His name was Francis Scott Key. He penned a song that I'm sure you're aware of. You've seen it. It's in most hymnals throughout our churches. It's called the National Anthem. It is our song as an American. We go, however, to a ball game. We stand in our church services and we sing the words of that song, and they float over our minds and our lips, and we don't even realize what we're singing. Most of us have memorized it as a child, but we've never really thought about what it means. Let me tell you a story. Francis Scott Key was a lawyer in Baltimore. The colonies were engaged in vicious conflict with the mother country, Britain. Because of this conflict and the protractedness of it, they had accumulated prisoners on both sides. The American colonies had prisoners and the British had prisoners. And the American government initiated a move. They went to the British and they said, let us negotiate for the release of these prisoners. They said, we want to send a man out to discuss this with you. They were holding the American prisoners in boats about 1,000 yards offshore. And they said, we want to send a man by the name of Francis Scott Key. He will come out and negotiate to see if we can make a mutual exchange. On the appointed day, in a rowboat, he went out to this boat and he negotiated with the British officials. And they reached the conclusion that men could be exchanged on a one-for-one basis. Francis Scott Key, jubilant with the fact that he'd been successful, went down below in the boats, and what he found was a cargo hold full of humanity, men. And he said, men, I've got news for you tonight. You're free. He said, tonight I have negotiated successfully your return to the colonies. He said, you'll be taken out of this boat, out of this filth, out of your chains. As he went back up on board to arrange for their passage to the shore, the admiral came and he said, we have a slight problem. He said, we will still honor our commitment to release these men, but it'll be merely academic after tonight. It won't matter. And Francis Scott Key said, what do you mean? He said, well, Mr. Key, he said, tonight we have laid an ultimatum upon the colonies. Your people will either capitulate and lay down the colors of that flag that you think so much of, or you see that fort right over there, Fort Henry? He said, we're going to remove it from the face of the earth. He said, how are you going to do that? He said, if you will, scan the horizon of the sea. And as he looked, he could see hundreds of little dots. And he said, that's the entire British war fleet. He said, all of the gunpowder, all of the armament is being called upon to demolish that fort. It will be here within striking distance in a matter of about 2.5 hours. He said, the war is over. These men would be free anyway. He said, you can't shell that fort. He said, that's a large fort. He said, it's full of women and children. He says, it's predominantly not a military fort. He said, don't worry about it. They said, we've left them a way out. He said, what's that? He said, do you see that flag way up on the rampart? He said, we have told them that if they will lower that flag, the shelling will stop immediately. And we'll know that they've surrendered, and you'll now be under British rule. Francis Scott Key went down below and told the men what was about to happen. And they said, how many ships? He said, hundreds. The ships got closer. Francis Scott Key went back up on top and he said, men, I'll shout down to you what's going on as we watch. As twilight began to fall, and as the haze hung over the ocean as it does at sunset, suddenly the British war fleet unleashed. He says the sound was deafening. There were so many guns that there were no reliefs. He said it was absolutely impossible to talk or hear. He said suddenly the sky, although dark, was suddenly lit. And he says from down below, all he could hear the men, the prisoners, saying was, tell us where the flag is. What have they done with the flag? Is the flag still flying over the rampart? Tell us. 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours into the shelling. Every time the bomb would explode and it would be close to the flag, they could see the flag in the illuminated red glare of that bomb. And Francis Scott Key would report down to the men below, it's still up. It's not down. The Admiral came to me, he said, your people are insane. He said, what's the matter with them? He said, don't they understand this is an impossible situation? Francis Scott Key said he remembered what George Washington had said. He said the thing that sets the American Christian apart from all other people in the world is he will die on his feet before he'll live on his knees. The Admiral said, we have now instructed all of the guns to focus on the rampart to take that flag down. He said, we don't understand something. Our reconnaissance tells us that that flag has been hit directly again and again and again, and yet it's still flying. We don't understand that. But he said, now we're about to bring every gun for the next 3 hours to bear on that point. Francis Scott Key said the barrage was unmerciful. All that he could hear was the men down below praying. The prayer, God, keep that flag flying where we last saw it. Sunrise came. He said there was a heavy mist hanging over the land, but the rampart was tall enough. There stood the flag, completely nondescript, in shreds. The flagpole itself was at a crazy angle. The flag was still at the top. Francis Scott Key went aboard and immediately went into Fort Henry to see what had happened. And what he found had happened was that that flagpole and that flag had suffered repetitious direct hits. And when hit had fallen. But men, fathers, knew what it meant for that flag to be on the ground. Although knowing that all of the British guns were trained on it, walked over and held it up humanly until they died. Their bodies were removed and others took their place. Francis Scott Key said what held that flagpole in place at that unusual angle were patriots' bodies. He penned a song, "Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, or the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that the flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet fly and wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? The debt was demanded, the price it was paid.
Oh, say, can you see?
That was Charlie.
Proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. So say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Sorry for hitting the wrong button there. Going on to our agenda, financial report. Again, I'm happy to point out that we're solvent. You'll notice that we have no approved commitments here. That's because our commitments, basically, and from our perspective, die on June 30th. We haven't spent something, we don't carry it over. Next month, we will come before the membership with a budget of our equipment spending and what have you for next year for approval. We did have one item that we'll be carrying over, and that's a projector that was approved. We were waiting to see how some technology changed, and so we didn't buy that equipment, so that'll be in next year's budget, even though it was approved last year's before. Membership, 1,753. Last year it was 1,533. Our membership on July 1, you'll notice we dropped about 300, whatever it is here. We always do that. That's people who had their computers fixed during the year and they're still working. The computer, again, I'd like to remind everyone that we are tight on resources, and that really the computer repair process should be limited to our members' computers. Also, if you have any topics for general meetings or classes, please let us know. We'll be putting together the fall schedule of classes shortly. And so we would like any input that you might have in terms of a class you'd like to see in the schedule for that time period. Monthly newsletter. How do you like the monthly newsletter? I think we have to congratulate Bob and Jim on that. They've done really a magnificent job.
I haven't seen it.
Pardon?
I haven't seen it.
Well, then you have a problem with your email in your profile, because that's how it's sent out, by email. Also, if you have a topic of interest, please let us know, or draft an article and send it to Jim Nelson at the Computer Club address, and we'll pick that up because we're looking for material for the newsletter continually. The Apple Group has met religiously on Tuesday mornings for several years, and they've decided that they need a summer break, so they're going to take a summer break. So there will not be any Tuesday morning meetings of the Apple Group during July and August. However, we all know that computer problems don't take a vacation, and so we've arranged to have several people who have volunteered to help out on the lab on Tuesday night with Apple. And they're very familiar with Apple products. So if you are an Apple person, or if you know an Apple person that has an issue, we're not going to have any classes. They're not going to be presentations, but they will be available to work one-on-one with individuals on dealing with their own problems that are involved with Apple products. So that would be on the lab session Tuesday night, 5:30 to 8:30 during the summer. That covers that. The Summer Learning Series is coming up. That begins this Wednesday, July 9. All of these sessions are on Wednesday afternoons from 1 to 4, and they're all in the Willow Room. We're going to have a session on using the website. If I need a new computer, what should I buy? Fixing common computer problems, and how to protect your computer. These are open to your neighbors, your friends. They're open not just to club members, they're open to anyone in the community that would like to attend. And there is no registration. It's just, again, first come, first served. Again, the club will not have any classes. The Apple Group will not provide any classes or presentations during the summer months. However, there are 2 classes being taught through CAM educational program that deal with iPads and tablets, and those can be found on page 42 of Lifestyles. So if you have an interest in those, you might sign up for those. You sign up the normal process of signing up for any presentation by CAM. You sign up at the CAM desk. There's a form to fill out. There's a small charge of $5 for those classes, but if you're interested in those, they will be taught in the summer. Community Matters. Next board meeting will be July 30th, and that's a quarterly meeting in Dreadnought Hall. The Executive Directors Meet and Greet will be on July 23rd and in the morning. And if you're interested in running for the board, the candidate packages are available at the CAM desk. You can pick those up. They're available now, and I believe they're available for another week, 10 days, something like that. And so if you're interested in running for the CAM board, please pick up your registration package. Community Theater is going to put on a presentation of a comedy. Oh, Lord knows we need comedy. 37 postcards. I've been told it's hilarious. Of course, the guy that told me that is in the play, so he probably has a bias on it. But they always do a great job. And advanced ticket sales, the seats are reserved, as all the theater presentations are. You can pick those up on Monday, July 7th in Fountain View from 9 to noon. Tickets are $10. The other thing I wanted to mention, because it's something that to me is important anyway. We have, CAM has had a program for a number of years called a Lifelong Learning Program. These are a series of presentations on Friday mornings on a wide variety of subjects. There's a nominal fee of $5. They cover everything. For example, just had one on Amelia Earhart. They've got one coming up now on the history of Huntley. There's just a number of things of interest. They run an hour, 15-minute to 20-minute question and answer period. And they're really well worthwhile. And I really ask that you consider supporting those programs. I think you'll get a lot out of it and you'll enjoy it. And the list of all of the programs is in Lifestyle, and it's tucked in behind the tours and trips. So it's you have, in fact, in Lifestyle you have the the presentations here in Grenville Hall on music, then you have the trips, then you have lifestyle. But if you look at those, I think you'd find some things that might be of interest to you. Also, a continuing matter, I'm sure you're all aware of it, but I'll still bring it up again. The bridge is closed, will be closed until August, and if you looked at the, I'm sure no one has done it, but if you look at the detour that the city has put in for Main Street, you'll get a good tour of Marengo and a few other communities in the process of that detour. But nonetheless, the bridge is closed. And with that, I'd like to turn this over to Pat O'Toole. And Pat O'Toole is going to talk to us about Apple products.
First, I want to check this mic. Can you hear me in the back? Somebody said no. All right.
Get it closer to your mouth.
Close my mouth. Is
Closer
that what
to
you
your
said?
mouth.
If for any reason you can't hear or it's vibrating, like one general meeting, I noticed that it was vibrating. They can't.
They can't hear you.
It's ahead of myself here. Wait a minute. Okay. Can you hear me now? Yes. Okay, but if both of these start vibrating, which is sounds like it is. Well, we're off to a good start. Way ahead. Okay. So first of all, I want to thank all of you for being here this morning. It's a beautiful morning, so I appreciate you have come in. And also I want to just point out the fact, see, I can hear that. Okay.
No.
No. Now.
No. Put it in front of her mouth.
All right. Good morning, everyone. So, if there is any difficulty, try to have patience and understanding. I want to mention that in case our time runs out, I would like to start off first by thanking the people that have put this general meeting together. There are so many people. The one that makes the coffee, I can't mention names because I will certainly forget someone. But someone comes over and makes the coffee. The women are here setting up that beautiful table, and if you notice, every month the tablecloth is changed to fit the season. And so these are the kind touches that the volunteers give to our community, and I think that they should be appreciated. And also the person that picks up the donuts every month, which is a priority around here. I also want to thank Frank Geiser to make sure that all the equipment, as you can see, he came to my aid again. All the plugs and everything are working, and he's been helpful in getting this together. And for Jim Nelson asking me to put on this presentation, and for giving us the publicity on that. And I'd also like to thank my husband, Liam, for putting up with me while I spend more time at the computer club than I often do fixing that gourmet meal every night. So with that, I will move on with why be in the digital world, and why Apple, and why not? So that worked. As you know, we had this presentation talking about our independence and how fortunate we are to have that. And it gave us the freedom for options and opportunities, choices, and you choose what is best for you. And so today, I'm talking about choices with a computer or choices with tablets. And but I also want to point out the fact that I'm also going to touch on some of the features that the Apple has over and above or similar to the PC Windows. So today we have some choices to make. And of course you can see the older adults, I believe you can see this, but I will read it. Older adults lead happier lives if they enjoy the digital world. It can lift your mood. You can save time and gasoline if you shop by online. Teresa taught us that about going to eBay or shopping in your stores. And you can learn from video tutorials. They are tremendous. And YouTube, if you go to Google, type in YouTube, you can get any amount of information and entertainment and learning tools for almost anything. So one of the ways we keep in touch and with the digital time is email friends and family. Now I'm using the Keynote presentation today, which is an Apple product, and so it's quite similar to the PC, but you will notice that there are certain features that the Apple has that the PC doesn't, and maybe the PC has others. So this is one which I think the PC has. So we can have broader social engagements by being in the digital world, and have the ability to do more things than we never could have done before. So this is going to touch a lot today. I'm going to touch a lot on some of the disabilities and how the Apple helps. So we live in Sun City, I believe most of us do, and we know it's a great place to live. And we have the freedom of choices there, and we have a computer club to help us grow and learn. It's an equal opportunity for both women as well as men. So where do we begin? When I flew over this building 6 years ago, or this whole community in a Piper Cub, I thought to myself, whoa, what possibilities must be there. And so I could see the beauty from above more than we can see while we're down here. So I had to investigate what's in all of those buildings, and as you know, there are many choices. So first of all, we have to find the home. So do we want a big home or do we want a small home? Well, that's like the same thing with the digital world. Do you really need a powerful tablet or laptop or whatever that holds 64 gigabytes or whatever, and maybe you only need a small computer or a small tablet? In the homes, sometimes we buy the big home and then we start stuffing it. Oh, that doesn't happen to you, but my husband will verify. Our garage has been cleaned out several times and there's still stuff. So the same thing with your laptop or computer, your tablet, you have to empty your trash. Just like on Tuesdays, you empty your trash. So sometimes we don't have the ability or the choices. 80% of us will have a disability at some point in our life. We'll have low vision, which, as you can see, I have my glasses on here, and some of us have a hearing loss, or we have speech limitations. Sometimes we can speak and probably stumble over many words here today. And hand movement difficulties. You may have the muscle difficulties with either a disease or just not able to use your fingers properly to use the gestures because of arthritis or other so there's always help under the apple tree. Imagine the joy it can bring to those. I'm reading some of this because some of you may have low vision in the back, so I want to make sure that you can read it. Imagine the joy it can bring to those who pick an apple and have the ability to see things that they couldn't see before, hear things that they couldn't hear before, speak, and continue to learn. Now, I picked an apple, but you've always heard this story about Adam and Eve, so I would say, beware. You know what happened to them. But I picked an apple, and I liked it. And having had this laptop for 6 years, so far, I haven't had any problems or issues that God has struck me down. So, choices. Then you have to make your decision. Do you want a desktop, laptop, a tablet, or maybe all of them? And so which do you want to buy? The Windows-based or the Apple? Choices. There's so many choices. So I'm showing you some of the issues or some of the advantages that you can use with the Apple. And there are realtors in our audience sometimes, and other businesses, and so you might want to know some of the features that the Apple has that others do not. So I'm going to show you what is called Magic Move. So here I have a house for sale, and it was made on a template. The house and the airstrip, the hangar. Oh, and the hangar is a great place to store all that stuff. There's a lot of room in there. So it's in Hampshire, and it says airplane and car not included. Shows the front of the house. So as a realtor or anyone that wants to publicize their work, they can have it displayed in their windows. This is new because I haven't done a keynote. I've worked on PowerPoint, and so this is not perfect yet, but you get the idea. So 15 minutes away from here that you could have that home, and that's the Magic Move, and airplane and car not included. But you can put all different kinds of room. There's all kinds of room here that you can add different information. You might have several homes listed, and you just have that constant looping when you're in the store. So also, pilots of small airplanes use their iPad to show where storms are located, or two storms, and they're able to go right between the two by using their iPad that's connected by a Wi-Fi connection to the window of the airplane. Also, American Airlines has given all of their pilots an iPad so that they don't have to carry 30 pounds of maps with them every time they go out on a trip. And that has saved a lot of paper because they used to have to put the maps and change the maps accordingly. So this is helpful to them. And I'm going to have to stop and wet my whistle here. If you can just be patient, because I don't talk very much normally, so. Most of the people here were choking when I said that. So you have to bear with me. So, the other thing is the iPad has transformed the way people play, work, learn, create, and connect. There are literally millions of apps. So I want to warn anyone that has not bought a tablet yet to be very careful about adding too many apps to your computer because you can fill it up. If you buy a small house or a small computer, so to speak, you cannot put in all these things. They take up space. So you have to be a little bit cautious. This is all children's apps, and children can get a hold of those iPads and those tablets and fill it up, so be very careful. This is something that I really wished I could have shown, but it took 50 minutes. It would have taken 50 minutes, and besides that, we're always a little concerned about getting connected to the internet while we're in here. If you have a pencil and paper, I would suggest, or better yet, if you have a tablet, you can type in pcclassesonline.com. And I'm going to make up a list of some of the websites that I'm talking about and take them to the lab on Monday, possibly, and have those in a little bookshelf. What do you call that? Book, whatever. There's a place in the lab, and I will have this. This is a free online course, and you can spend hundreds of dollars spending for lynda.com. I shouldn't probably say that, but some of these you do pay $300 for those tutorials. In fact, I had no one to go to when I wanted to put on this keynote. And I had done PowerPoint, so I knew, but I just wanted to go. So I went to the PC Classes Online, and I had already signed up for this. And David A. Cox is the one that gives these, and he led right through all this thing with the magic move and a couple of things. So I thought, I'm going to try it. So as I said, I haven't perfected it, but you can be at home in the evening and watching, not watching TV, but you can be at home and at midnight if you want to, and you can be getting the information on how not only use the Mac, but how to use your PC. And it will also show the differences in the PC and the Mac. And I wish that we have time, and I'm going to mention that again. I also want to point out that we have realized in our classes on Tuesdays that we don't have a very good menu to get to the categories that you want. So once you sign up for this, you go to members area, right where that pointer is, and then way over to the right is a little magnifying glass, and that is where you can search. And so if you want to know about iPad and you want to get some instructions on how to use your iPad, click on that search, type in iPad, and most likely the first one that will come up will be Basic iPad. It's marvelous. So this is free. It's been free for 2 years, but yesterday when I received my password, he changes the password every month, and this month it happens to be fireworks. Now, I guess that was what it was going to be, and that's what it is. So you can type in your password and go to any number of video tutorials, and but he had to, when he gave the password, he said it was costing him too much money because it's over 165 countries, and so he's asking for a small donation, $5 or $10. Believe me, I would be happy to donate to his cause. He's wonderful. So the other thing is, if you don't want to go and sign up for his membership, which is free, you could go to Google and then type in YouTube David A. Cox, C-O-X. And then you will, the first one that comes up when you type in that on YouTube is Learn the Mac in under an hour. Well, you may see the differences under an hour, but it's taken me a lot of years to learn all the things there is to know about computers. But you will find comparisons with PC and the Apple Macintosh on his site, and the PC refers to programs, where the Mac refers to applications. So basically, a lot of it's the same. With most tablets, you can be nurtured by books. We all know that. And learn a new language and get recipes. Oh, but it won't do the cooking. And then you have to teach, or you can teach you how to fix things, but it won't provide the tools. But then, as we know, you can go to the internet, and Teresa taught us that, go to the internet and order the tools over the internet, and then you can fix them on your own. And also, there are so many things, teach you how to clean, but that hasn't worked yet for me, so I still have to do it. So now I want to talk about accessibilities. On the Mac, you go to the system preferences, and you can type in accessibilities. Actually, I see the website says that accessibility, T-Y, I-T-Y instead of I-E-S. And then the /iOS// stands for Intelligent Operating System. The I in most Mac programs can refer to many things. They've mentioned several words, but intelligent is a very good source for all of these with disability. Many of you may have grandchildren or even a spouse or friend who could use an iPad and be able to learn so much, and I will show you some of the ways that you can use an iPad. I would suggest, if you're thinking about an iPad or another tablet, that you check out to make sure what is available to you, because the iPad has all of these things built in. You don't have to buy an app, and I'm going to show you all the different features that you can use to help you with any hearing problems or speaking, different things. But the point is, check out before you buy a tablet to see if you have these options. These are free with purchase of an ad. So this is what will come up if you type in that website. I would be so happy if we could show this live, because you would be able to go directly to the eye there with the vision, and it would explain all the things that you would want to know about being able to see the laptop, or the laptop, it works also. Hearing, and then physical and motor skills. Motor skills usually refers to people who have issues with the muscles, and I'll go into some of that later. And then learning and all this. So it tells you pretty much here some of the things that I will be showing you. So I took a screenshot of the website and put these on, so there's no way that I can click in on these. And so here's the features that are helpful beyond words. So here it says if you're blind or you have low vision, you can use VoiceOver. Now VoiceOver, I will show it to you a little bit later, but basically you just, you have to go in the settings and set it up, turn it on, but you can just put your finger over a word and it will tell you what's under your finger. So that is very beneficial, especially people who are blind or nearly blind. They also have advanced screen reader and Siri dictation. I will touch on some of those things. So here, again, when you go to this site, this will come up and you can read all of that. And if anything is in that, like learn more about VoiceOver, that's in light blue, you can click on that and you will get more information about that. So I will be touching on all of these things. VoiceOver, I told you, you just have to put the speaking. You can highlight anything that is on your screen and it will read it for you. Siri, I will touch a little bit more on that, but Siri is where you can click in and say, Siri, will you let Liam know that I'm not coming home to fix his lunch? And Siri will contact Liam. That is, if he had a device to receive it. And then dictation. I will touch on those things. And Zoom speaks for itself, but the Zoom is a built-in magnification, and you can use it on your iPad especially. And it will, if you tap the middle of the screen with 3 fingers, it will zoom it to 200%. And then if you need it even more powerful, it can get up to 500% by tapping 3 fingers, and then the next time you just hold down the 2 fingers and move to what you want to see magnified. So it's an amazing feature for people with low vision. The fonts can be adjusted. You can change the fonts, which most of you realize that's the type to change the style. Invert colors means that, like, this is showing a white background on the iPhone, I think that is. Some people see better on a black or dark background. So you can change that to a dark black background and a white font. And the Braille display, all of these things are on the internet, and you can, here it says, learn more about iOS Braille displays. So you do have the ability, if you have the Bluetooth connection and the tables and multiple, so you can read all of this. I have to move along here. This is showing using FaceTime, and FaceTime with the Mac or the Apple is the same as Skype. The only difference is if you have an Apple product, that's the only way that you can talk to somebody. They have to be on Apple product. Skype, you can Skype to an Apple product or from an Apple product, but FaceTime is strictly Apple to Apple. So this shows a young girl who is deaf, and I have seen this live, and she has the facial expressions and the eyebrows and the whole animation of her speaking, and yet she's using sign language. And so that can go all over the country, or all over the world. So she can talk to people throughout the world, to friends, and as you can see, she's smiling. You could never see that, she never had that advantage before. And Hearing Solutions closed caption. Many of you may be aware of closed caption. It's on many TVs and watching movies and DVDs. You can get DVDs with closed caption, which is CC. And that does not mean carbon copy. That means closed caption. So it's written under the screen and or print it, and you can change the type and things that will make it easier for you to read along, and also the speed. You can slow down the speed on that. So, and then I'm not going to dwell on the messages, but you can communicate by message, which is kind of like texting, but you are really corresponding with somebody directly, and they're responding. I put amazing headphones to the rescue for people who have poor hearing in one ear but good hearing in the other. And so if they want to have a stereo or hear stereo, they can adjust it by moving the whatever, you know, the thing on the side, and it will adjust it to stereo. So here, Siri can be your best friend, but on the other hand, I really don't use Siri. I don't have it, and I somehow or another managed to get back and forth from my house to here without having to use it much. But if you're out someplace and you say, Siri, would you locate the nearest Aldi's? That just come to my mind. Or the nearest Pizza Hut or whatever. And Siri will locate it. And if she doesn't know, she'll search the internet for you. And it can be changed to a male. You could have another voice pick that up. So you just have to push the right buttons. And assistive touch, I'm going to show a little bit more on that. I did some screenshots of assistive touch and I moved it, but I told you about Siri. There's a little microphone there, you touch that, and Gil Walsh, who is very helpful with the Mac, he and the iPad, he uses Siri all the time or often, and he knows just exactly what to say to her. But it's always good. Switch control, I'm not real sure what that means, but you can figure it out if you bring up the website. Excuse me. So why type? If you have this here, you can just talk to your keyboard. You have to hit the little microphone at the bottom, talk to your keyboard, and it will print what you say. It's called dictation. And so you can use dictation and have shortcuts, and you know how the young people, they use all these shortcuts, CYL, and like I'm saying, what? You know what's CYL, but it means call you later. So all the young people know all these shortcuts. I can type faster than I can figure out what CYL is. So, for those with attention challenges, there are so many things that this iPad can help with, and also the iPhone and iPad Touch. They're fun and powerful learning tools for people who have challenges with staying focused. I want one of those. I want one of those buttons to hook it on me. I get up in the morning and I say, okay, I've got the whole day. I'm going to study a tutorial, and I'm going to learn how to do this, but oh, I got to go out and empty the dishwasher. Oh, well, while I'm here, I might as well have breakfast. Well, then, of course, then I have to do the dishes, and then I realize I've got to figure out what I'm going to have for dinner. And then I say, oh my gosh, I've got to run over to Jewel. So before you know it, well, you know, the end of the day. And I still haven't learned a tutorial. So I wish that I had a built-in tutorial, but here is this little girl, and they use it a lot with children. They can disable the home button and keep her focused, or him, or whoever is running around in all directions and being distracted. So you can keep this, teachers will disable the home button. So she looks happy, but she's going to be limited. And here is the speech selection again. Excuse me. Speech also has a built-in dictionary, so you can get immediate answers to the word, the meaning of a word. Safari Reader is great. Safari is our browser. Thank you. the browser that we use, but I also have Firefox on here. But you can get a Safari reader, and it eliminates all the ads and all the photos or things that might distract you from reading the article. And then speech, again, I told you that. Those were all the things that are part of the Apple iPad that you can have free. Now this is a program that is not free. It's an outside source, but I had Apple put it on my program about 3 years ago. And I will tell you first about this, and then I will tell you why I have it on mine. But the prolopol, and prolopol means to speak out. And so this is Prolopol to Go. I'm going to add that as a website on that list. It's symbol supported so that you can just tap on and say, I need something to eat, or I need to go to the bathroom, or whatever. So it helps young children and adults who are unable to speak or speak clearly, and autistic children to communicate, a voice for those who cannot speak, and some who have cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, ALS, stroke victims, or with brain injuries. Those of you who might have motor skills because of your movement of your muscles, and the iPad speaks the words when tapped. I want to tell you that 3 years ago, approximately 3 years ago, my son's wife worked at a bank as a manager, and suddenly she couldn't speak, and or she was slurring, and they at first thought she had been drinking a little bit too much of something during lunch, but as it turns out, she had ALS. And so we purchased an iPad at the Apple store, and they put on this program. It was close to $200, and now I think it's even a little bit more, but $200 was worth it for her because she could communicate by email with her mother in West Virginia. So she still had movement in her arms enough that she could, and so we programmed the iPad so that she could just type in, I need Tim. If he was out cutting grass and one of us was in the home, and she would just say, I need Tim, and then I would contact him by his phone. He'd stop cutting grass and come in and lift her out of her wheelchair. My son also bought a strap because she was in a wheelchair, and this might be interesting, that you can attach your iPad to this strap and have it around your neck, and so therefore when she was tapping, if it fell off the side of the wheelchair, she could, or somebody could get it back without it being ruined. So that did help. So it ended up, I have it back, and so if there's anyone that would have any need for this, or know of anybody that has need, I could show you this program, and it's fairly easy to learn. Assistive touch is something that I just took these screenshots, and it really doesn't show the third one. But you have to go to System Preferences on the iPad, and so many of the people in our classes thank me for this. However, there were the other ones that were saying, it drives me crazy, it gets in my way. So, you know, we can't please everyone. And so I use it, and I go with the ones that say, I really like it. Because sometimes you're trying to use your iPad or your tablet, and all the buttons are on the sides, and you're trying to figure out which side, how do I turn up the volume, how do I turn it off, or how do I lock the screen, or all of these things. Well, assistive touch can be put in with System Preferences, and you go to Accessibilities, and then you go to Assistive Touch, and all at once, and you have this one little button that you use instead of the home button. And so I can't operate it here because it won't work here, but it does work when you're on. And you click on device, and then it brings up this second screen over there. And so at the end, if you want to lock your screen, you just click on that. Or if you want to turn up the volume, you have that control. Or you can mute it or not mute it. But then there's those three little buttons, and I don't have that up, but that will take you to other sources that you might want. So that pretty much covers the things that we're talking about, those with disabilities, but now they have the ability to do all of these things. So I will give those. So why Apple? I've just given you a few of the reasons. There are so many reasons that you could use these things, but so why not? Here's that magic move. Let me think. I can't think of a reason. Let me think. Why not? Wait. Another choice. Whoops. That just threw me out here. That was that magic move, and it meant to just let it run through. All right, so I think we just let it run. Wait, why not? Maybe why not is we don't have a very good trainer here. Well, why not? It really said, basically, it says that maybe for many of us, we have too few years to spend indoors learning new devices and becoming addicted to the many distractions of too much time spent on games and other time wasters. The iPad and the computers can give you many, many wonderful things. You have to decide what is of value and how useful it is. And if it's useful for you, or you consider it of value, by all means you need to get it. But another choice could be, like a day like today, just go outside, take a walk right behind us. Here, there's a beautiful walkway that you can see the water running over the rocks and enjoy the roar of the water. And it's so beautiful there. Or you can go out to Wildflower Lake and go fishing and watch a sunrise or sunset. I guess it's a sunset at Wildflower. And then you touch the magic of nature. So it's up to you to make the right choice. You decided when you came in here this morning, first of all, you had to figure out, I have to make a choice. Where do I park? And then who do I sit with? And then you decided which donut. Now, did you all make the right choice on that donut? And I didn't have one this morning, so I hope my favorite one's there. So we're always making choices, and I'll have some time for questions in a minute. So just remember the magic of nature and enjoy, and I think that's the end of it. Somebody is raising their hand.
I have a quick question on the Prologo too.
On the Prologo?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. She has a question on the Prologo, which is I haven't gone over.
Yes.
Yeah.
What I want to know is when you have, like, your daughter-in-law who has
Had ALS.
I know a lot of people with these problems, so I want to get this out to them. Question is, like, when she bought the Prologo,
Right.
does that cover all, like her iPhone? Obviously, her husband has to have it to receive the information. And also, do you have to buy it, being her mother-in-law, so you can communicate with her? Do you have to buy that $200, $300
No.
program yourself? How does this work?
No, she doesn't communicate. When you're working with Prologo, it's just to help somebody in the house. It's not to make contact with iPhone or anything. But if she sends an email, she can.
Well,
But-
I don't understand why have it if she uses said she contacted, like to get Mike or whoever.
Well,
How did she do that?
well, because I happen to be in the room, so she has to have someone that's in the room, and then when she touches, I need to go to the bathroom, then
It
the
speaks,
person knows.
it speaks.
It speaks, I'm sorry, it
Oh,
speaks.
so it's only good if you're in the room with her.
If you're in the room, because, or she can send an email, but, so someday come into the lab and get it, and then you can go to YouTube and type in that Protocol, and, oh, here's, my why wait, I didn't say, maybe you don't need all these things, a tablet, a smartphone. You have the television, you have a library for information, and you have friends and family. And I am very grateful for all of you that have. But is there any other questions?
Guy, did you hear somebody? Question? No. Okay, that's it.
Okay, thank you very much.